Hey YouTube, thanks for tuning in. This is the Surpass Hobby Rocket Gecko 3500 kV brushless censored inrunner motor for rock crawlers with the Gecko Mini 18 ESC censored brushless inrunner. This combo for small rock crawlers is available for quite some time now, but I do not see and hear a lot about it. I was of course very interested in those motors and ESCs and did buy those already some time ago. I also bought this program card for the ESC, which does not work. Later a new program card especially for the Gecko ESC has been released, but according to other guys in the Rockroller forum, this also does not work. I don't know if I do something wrong or this card won't work anyway. I have used and programmed a lot of ESCs so far with program cards, and I do have a ton of program cards and never had any problems so far. Do those cards work for you? Do you have a tip for me? However, the motor works really fine and runs smoothly, but I couldn't find any real review or detailed comments on it so far, neither on YouTube nor in forums. Always the same comments. Runs fine, but it is not as smooth as a Furytech. Few videos showing this motor in the TRX-4M, but no in detail information. This combo is made for the TRX-4M. The motor does come with pinion and should mount to the TRX-4M gearbox, and the ESC does come even with a TRX-4M battery plug. I never wanted to buy one, as many of you know, but now I also have one, a TRX-4M, a Bronco body, to compare it with its copy, the awesome All-Star AX8560. And my TRX-4M is still completely stock. Really time to upgrade it and mount the Surpass Gecko motor into my TRX-4M and test this motor. And by time I purchased a ton of upgrades for my TRX-4M and my All-Stars, so I will use this to completely upgrade my TRX-4M. Ball bearings, of course, bought some sets of inrunner shocks, but the stock shocks are fine. They are not so bad in my opinion, but probably nonetheless we'll use those inrunner shocks for TRX-4M. Metal links, of course, better servo, some brass, and those really beautiful wheels or rims and tires. Those are super nice. Also, tires are quite sticky, but they are super light. Check this. Tires with rims, no screws, 25.9, and only the rims of those DJ Crawler rims, they are already significantly heavier than tires with rims here. 25.9 versus 32.7. They really need weight, but since they are so wide, this is a ring here, it's not simply possible to use brass rings. Those are the inrunner rings, they are much too narrow. And those are the DJ Crawler wheel rings, heavy, so it's not possible to simply use other rims, so I will do it old school. I have some lead somewhere here, those, and where's the other lead there? I will put some lead on the inner rings, and that way, old school, increase the weight of those tires and rims or the wheels. I also have this super cool inrunner body for the TRX-4M, but I'll probably not use it. I like the Bronco in some way, and I will probably use this for one of my All-Stars and will upgrade an All-Star with this, similar to the TRX-4M upgrades now. But I would like to test and compare this surpass motor with others. As some of you might know, I'm not the biggest fan of brushless in microcrawlers, so I have quite a bit of this stuff unused in my boxes. Most of it is already really outdated or quite outdated. So that's the super old Komodo with 1400 kV. This and the Surpass Outrunner with 1400 kV were the first ones I tested for microcrawlers with the old Lizard ESC and the Mofo RC Nano Beast Micro first generation. I even do not know the kV of this Mofo motor, also with the Lizard, old Lizard ESC. And finally, today probably also already outdated, the Micro Komodo with 3450 kV and a Lizard Pro ESC. All ESCs are of course updated, and I want to compare the Surpass motor with the inrunner, the Gecko, with those motors. But it's not so easy to test all those in the TRX-4M, would need special mounts. So I will test and compare those on the bench before I put the Surpass into the truck. Short, quick bench test to see how slow they can go, how smooth they run, how fast. I'm interested in this. But if you are not interested in the brushless motor bench test and only in the upgraded TRX-4M with the brushless Surpass motor, here's the timestamp. I will do upgrading off camera, probably will only show how to mount the motor to the TRX-4M gearbox. And before I upgrade my TRX-4M, I will check its weight and balance in stock form to be able to see if all those upgrades will bring any improvement in this. And I will do a very short quick test run on the bench to be able to compare low speed modulation of this completely stock TRX-4M, also with stock gears, so no crawler gears, and compare it with the TRX-4M with Surpass censored brushless inrunner later. That's when I maybe will use this TRX-4M radio, one of the ugliest radios in RC history, for the very last time. Bench test time. I've connected all four motors, the Komodo with 1400 kV, the Surpass with 3500, the Micro Komodo 3450 and the Mofo RC, don't know how many kV, with their ESCs, so Lizard updated, Lizard Pro and the Mini 18 ESC to one receiver. Where is the receiver? Here. Of course, if you do this, do not forget, if you play those games, to remove the red wire of all of the plugs but one, because only one ESC should power up the receiver. And I mixed those in parallel so I can control all those by this knob here. I've set the voltage to 8.4 volts, so that's a completely full 2S LiPo, which will normally never happen. After the first time using throttle, the voltage will already fall, but that way I can control it. So take a close look to the pinions. No, just kidding. So now we should all be able to see this better, and I turn the knob here and we will see which one will start at first, and we see the old Komodo starts already with a tiny little throttle input and super slow. I increase throttle input and the second one is the Surpass, the inrunner already. I increase more. The third one is the Micro Komodo, but the Micro Komodo is super slow. The inrunner much faster than the outrunners, and I will increase a little bit more. Come on. The Mofo, and now the Mofo starts too. but also super slow. So we see already here that the outrunners are much slower and probably are able to go much slower in a truck than the inrunner. Let's measure the minimum RPM of the inrunner. That's about this. I will use this cheapometer now, but I will have to turn off the lights or additional lights. And let's check. I don't know if you can see something. That's good. Will light help? It's not very consistent. Now there's light, but this doesn't help a lot. You see minimum 360 RPM in the Gecko 3500 kV motor. Can switch it off, switch it on again. Come on. No, it's even faster. Can I go slower? Come on. It was 600 and now it shows. What do you show now? 500. Okay, it's not really consistent, but several hundred RPM, while the Komodo turns much slower. This doesn't work. This works best on high RPM. I can't use this, but we can use simply count how long it takes for one turn. Come on. 1.10 seconds for one turn, so less than 60 RPM, 55 RPM. Let's do it again. 1.10 again, but that was wrong. That was not the slowest the Komodo can do. This was the slowest the Gecko can do. So let's do this again. 1.49 seconds, so 1.5 seconds. This would mean 40 RPM if I'm not completely... No, that's correct. So 1.5 seconds for 1 RPM would mean 40 RPM. I did wrong here. Come on. Again, 1.41, so even a little bit slower, so about less than 40 RPM per minute. Let's check how slow the others can go, because those are very slow too. That's the, so around 40 RPM for the Komodo, and that's the micro Komodo. That seems to be even slower. 1.85, so that's even much slower than the Komodo. This would mean 2 would be 30, so 1.85 would be 35, 40 RPM. And the Mofo, not exact of course, could do it exactly, more exacter, but I guess it's not necessary. And the Mofo also super slow. Let's try this one too. So .33, so also super slow. 1.3 is would be around 40 RPM too. So the inrunner will not be able to go as fast as the others. Let's check the maximum RPM, because I have 8.4 volts here. So the Surpass inrunner does have 3500 kV. This would mean it should turn 8.4 by 3500. What's that? That's 24,000, 28,000, 1,000, should be 29,400 RPM at full speed. Let's check if that's correct. Check it out, 28,000 and a little bit, so that's good, that's good. And 29,000 and something in theory, the microcommodor does have 50 kV less, it does have 3,450, so this should have a bit less, 29,400 in theory. It did 28, super good, or 29, and this 50 less by 8.4 should be 29, a little bit less than 29,000. Will this work at this height? We will see. Maybe I have to go a bit higher. Yes, and check it out, 29,000. So theory matches praxis, and I don't know the kV of the Morpho, but should be about the same. And a little, come on, I'm not exact here now. That's not correct now. Let's try the Morpho again. I should. 38,000 in. I did the wrong direction, but come on. $34,000. So the Morpho should have a higher kV rate than the micro Komodo, and the Komodo does have 1,400 kV, 1,400 by 8.4. How much is this? 8,011 to 11,760 is 1,400 by 8.4. Let's check it if that's correct. That's always, the setup is always, come on. 12,100. So in one direction 12,100, and in the other direction 12,002. I hope you can see it. I put hold. That's super. Was on the floor, but it's 12,000. So that's super nice, because the theory of KV was confirmed here. You saw it. Really quite exact. In theory, 11,760 at 8.4 volt did 12,000. In theory, the inrunner, the Surpass, what was it, 29,400, and it did 28,000 and something. And the micro Komodo the same, a little bit less than 29,000, and it did 29,000. So super cool. And we know now what we can expect. The TRX-4M will not be as slow, that super slow crawl it has with the Furytech systems and the outrunner motors. It will not show, and it cannot show with the Surpass inrunner motor, because lowest RPM is about 10 times as high as in the others. So I increase it again. You see, super slow first start by the Komodo. It starts really soon, little bit of throttle input only. It runs quite smooth, but the outrunners seem to run smoother. The next is super slow, the micro Komodo, and the Mofo needs more time, more throttle input to start, but it's also super slow. So this was my little bench test, and now we know what to expect, but I guess most of us expected this already before. It will not be super snail slow as it is, for example, with the 1400 kV Komodo. And here the stock TRX-4M, including battery, absolutely stock on the scale, and we see it has 497.4 grams. Only 49% front and 51% rear, and left right is quite okay with 51 by 49. And we will see later how all those upgrades will affect the weight and the distribution. And for the very last time before upgrading my TRX-4M with the stock radio and stock electronics, we know performance is, it's noisy, and those are stock gears, no crawler gears. Low speed performance is far from good. It's not super bad, but for a truck of 2023 or 2022, it's not really good. If you want to see the performance of the stock TRX-4M, of my stock TRX-4M in detail, watch my microcrawler capability test episode 31. I've tested it really intensely. Come on. You see, I have to pull the trigger. Everybody of you knows this, and it's not really able to climb a step slowly, and how fast it is in stock form. Okay, that's it. And this was probably the last time I used it in this form. Let's switch it off. That's what I really like, using the battery plug as on-off switch. Let's switch off the radio, and that's it probably for me with this ugly radio. And now I'll start to upgrade my TRX-4M. I have prepared everything here, don't know what I will use exactly. Fan, shock, servo for sure, links, press, and the star. That's why I do make this video. The Surpass Rocket Gecko inrunner motor 2030, 3500 kV with the Mini 18 ESC. And what I want to do in front of camera before I start, I will weight those inner rings, will check the weight, because they are so light. I will put lead on them, that golf or that. They are super light. So one ring without lead, 5.14 gram, and we will see how heavy they will be after I put lead on them. I will do this off camera. Don't think you want to see me ranging for hours, but I will probably show how I mount the Surpass motor to the gearbox. And here it is, finally completely upgraded, my TRX-4M. That's my brassiest model I've ever made, I guess. This doesn't hold anymore. Quite new. rarely used my TRX-4M, but the rear clip always falls out. So metal links, brass here, brass here, brass here, brass here, brass steering, and here's the ESC, the Mini 18, here's the motor, the censored, brushless inrunner, use the small receiver here, and that's a tiny light switch. I shortened all the wires to clean up a little bit inside, and those inner fenders, got them from AliExpress. They are a bit of a pain to mount and super brittle. Did already break some, but it's nice to have those to mount receiver ESC here, so there's nothing in the rear anymore. And what I have the injector shocks. Didn't change anything, used the harder springs, and they are really nice in my opinion. But what I especially like are those wheels and tires. But as I told you, they are so super light. So you can see here I put lead on the inner rings, a little bit less than 10 grams to the rear wheels, and a little bit less than 20 grams to the front rims. And all in all, the tires do now have a bit more than 35.5 grams the rear wheels, the complete wheels, but including screws, and 45, a little bit more than 45 grams the front wheels. That's nearly 20 grams more than the stock wheels had. They had 25.9 if I remember correctly, but without screws. Screws weigh nearly nothing. So I really like those, and they also perform super nice. But what's the overall weight now? It's super heavy. Let's put it on the scale. So here it is now on the scale, and what we can see, it has 719.9 grams now. That's more than 200 grams more than the stock truck did have, which had 497 grams only. And what's super nice, we have now 55 front and 45 rear weight, while in the stock truck with the body it was only 49 front and 51 rear. However, I even expected a little bit more, but that's now quite a good weight distribution. And weight distribution right left is perfect, 50%, 50%. It was also really good in the stock truck. So wow, nearly 50% more weight now and a much stronger motor, so it should also perform much better now. Let's check this. So let's switch it on. The ESC does have a tiny on-off switch here, but I use the battery plug to switch it on and off. As I already told you, I put a small light switch. Simple light switch. To the lights, to the stock lights, and shorten the wires. And now any solution here, put some foam between this clip and the bumper maybe. That's quite annoying. But check this now. Wow. What a disappointment. What a disappointment. Inrunner, no way a performance as the outruns to have. Check this, I try to. And cogging, as we did already see on the bench test. So that's really a disappointment. And it's super fast. Check this out here now. It's way too fast. So I think I should really put the crawler gears in. The stock gears are, in my opinion, much too fast. I'm super disappointed. Check this out. I'm not able to climb this. But check it now out. Those are my two obstacles, my hill of branches and my hill of pebblestones of my MCCT. On the hill of branches, it crawls awesome. Really, those tires perform awesome. There is no problem at all on the steep side, which is super difficult to climb. However, it absolutely lacks low speed performance, and it also lacks power in low speed, so you can't go slowly and smoothly up. But the tires are super sticky and no problem at all to climb this obstacle, but absolutely lacking low speed performance. And performance on the hill of pebblestones on the steep side. Wow, absolutely fantastic. Even with its low approach angle, it can climb the steep side without any problems. That's super good. And the tires are super sticky and it's absolutely controllable on the stones. So the tires, for such no name, cheapo tires, wow. But it lacks low speed performance. Absolutely. So check this out on my hand here. It's not able to climb slowly. Not at all. So I should buy the crawler gears and maybe then it's better, but the cogging on low speed, there is no real. I shorten the wires. You see that's cogging, and you have to, now it runs smoothly, but that's not slow. So that's a super big disappointment for me. I expected much more. It's a perfect trail truck now, it's super fast, but it's way from good performance. And let's compare that. I will show you some good low speed performance now. Therefore I will switch on those trucks. What's also a disappointment is the servo. I don't know why that's so slow. That's the JX-PT-HV 1151. Didn't see this in this one. Here's the same servo. Okay, it performs awesome in this SCX24, but here I will have to change the servo, use an injunner or whatever, because that's specifications say it's fast, and I never saw it in my low-end light SCX24. Here it performs awesome. But now let's compare it to some other trucks. So here we have the Fury wagon with the brushless Venom Outrunner motor. We have a stock FCX18, and we have an SCX24 with one of those old good German ESCs. But check this video after I removed the stock electronics of the TRX-4M, I didn't immediately mount the brushless setup, but I drove it stock, only using a good ESC, one of my German ESCs, and different radio gear. And check this out now. That's the stock TRX-4M with stock motor. And of course, not with crawler gears. And in my opinion, that's nearly on par. Check this. No, that was maybe even better than now with the brushless Outrunner. And that's with the stock Traxxas motor. You could buy an upgrade injunner motor or whatever, which again would improve its performance. So with a brushed, complaining, with a good brushed ESC with TRX-4M stock motor, the performance is, or low speed performance is, maybe on par. That's not good. And now check on what's really good. I have so many radios, you know. I have to put the radios. Check this out. That's not the Micro Komodo. Micro Komodo is maybe even a little bit better than the Venom or Venom. But yes, it also is fast and has power, but check this low speed performance. And oops, check this out. That's completely different. Wow, that's awesome performance. And now my TRX-4M with a not cheap brushless sensored inrunner. I really tried to pull the trigger as slow as I can. It's impossible to climb this step slowly for me. Unbelievable. And that's a stock FCX18, completely stock. That's the correct radio. Check this out. Stock FCX18 out of the box. Check this out. Of course, first gear. It also seems to have much more power. It's impossible to do this with the TRX-4M with stock gears and the brushless sensored inrunner motor. Huge disappointment. Yeah, and finally one of my good old German ESCs in a SCX24. Where's the correct radio? I use Noble here. Check this out. Brushed motor. That's a, I guess it's a 050 motor in here. Yes, 050 motor. So all of those are way, way, way better than the TRX-4M with stock gears and a brushless sensored Gecko inrunner motor and the Mini 18 ESC. So no way that that's the same as whatever. And Micro Komodo or a Venom, and even the only a good ESC, and also the Injora MB100 ESC that performs awesome. I made a video about it. Probably is better with stock motor than the TRX-4M with this sensored brushless inrunner. I'm super disappointed. So, do I recommend this? No, not at all. And if you have it, at least buy the low speed crawler gears. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. I'll be back.